Hello, you're listening to episode 11 of 8 Minute Movies, Knives 8, a podcast talking about the 2019 movie Knives Out in 8-minute chunks, presented by me, Kieran, and him, Peter. This is a sequential podcast that contains serious spoilers for Knives Out, so you should go and watch the movie first before listening, and start with episode 1. How you doing on this really hot day, Peter? How you doing on this hot, warm day?
I'm warm, you know, but I'm not. I've been warmer this year already, so I'm coping. How are you?
Little sweaty. Just thought I'd warm the listeners up to the fact that it's warm. Unintentional pun. I'm stupid. Because you might be able to hear my air conditioner. Because if I turn it off to do the recording, I'll die.
Might have some background sounds. Never mind.
Yeah, just deal with it. Jeez. Hashtag hostile listening environment.
What's going on in my life lately, you ask? Well,
Jeez. I mean, I think I literally did, but
I've had a birthday, important birthday.
You did have a splendid, important birthday. Happy birthday, Peter.
Yes, thank you. I'm 40 years old, and it's supposed to be an important birthday. I would say that I'm taking the number in my stride. I don't care.
I thought you were going to say I'm going to say I'm taking the piss, and I was like, yeah, you are a bit.
I am taking the piss of being 40 in that I am paying it no real attention. I don't feel any different or like I kind of made peace with the idea many years ago that I'm probably as grown up as I'm going to get. And I'm not going to work things out anymore. Apart from in ways that come entirely naturally, I guess. So yeah, nothing changes. It's just a weird number to think about because I remember when my dad turned 40, for example. Wow. That's a memory I have, and it seems.
Now your dad is older than you.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And at the time, it felt like I'd never get there myself. That was impossibly far in the future.
I know, and honestly, I have been trying for at least a decade now to make sure that you don't reach this age. You're really tenacious. No matter how hard I try, you just keep going. Listeners, if you want to email Peter some sort of birthday e-card, you're very late.
Then don't do that, because I don't really like cards that much. They're fine. I don't hate getting them, but I regularly forget to send them because they're such a kind of minor part of the birthday experience to me that I have to be reminded, you should send a card, because people like that, because I just don't. The last card I sent someone was my dad for Father's Day, and it was a playing card that said,
I am sending you a card.
It said something like, hello, Dad. It is Father's Day. Here is a card.
Did you? I'm sure you must have loved receiving a handmade card from.
No, it was like
I know.
It was an e-card.
Oh God. Just what I've always wanted, son. A JPEG.
No, actually, sorry, it wasn't. It was an online card that is printed out and then sent physically, but I had no physical contact with the card.
Yeah. So I bought you a birthday card because
and that was a very very nice one, which I've got somewhere, and I intend to not lose, actually, because I liked that one a lot.
See, because 'Cause I'm on the other side of the spectrum in a increasingly disturbing number of ways. Um, if someone gets me a card for my birthday, I'm kind of like, oh, and then I end up keeping it forever. So I really do need to do a cull on some of these things. Jeez. So I was like, oh, I'll get a nice birthday card. It's an important birthday because I don't usually get you a card. I don't think, because I know that you're not like massively into them. But like, okay, so I was just like, I will buy a 40th birthday card for a friend of mine, and wow, all the cards are like 40A. The grim spectre of death stalks you now. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. They're like, 40A, now you can achieve none of the goals you have remaining. Death is coming for you. I'm like, fucking hell. Like, geez. Maybe try and inject a little cheer into the birthday experience.
40 years old. Well, it's too late now.
Yeah, Christ. I think that might have been verbatim one of the ones that Clinton sells. Like, whoa, boy, if you know someone's a bit, about an upcoming birthday, you could fucking destroy them with like a £22 card from Clinton's.
Yeah, and like because I don't really feel a particular way about this birthday, it certainly would have destroyed me, but it also would have been weird because that's really not my vibe with this birthday. I'm like, that happened, it was fun, and
also not your vibe in general.
Right.
Oh god. So we actually met up in the real human environment space, as people don't do anymore because of the recent unpleasantness. Yes, we went to a restaurant like people used to do. We made them play embarrassing music at you, which I found endlessly funny. What was it? Yeah, it was the end of the night, and the restaurant staff clearly wanted us to leave. So when we started singing "Happy Birthday" to him, they went away and put on a children's "Happy Birthday" CD, which was "Happy Birthday, Lisa." And I've never laughed so hard in my life.
It was good, and I sort of saw it coming, but after the second "Happy Birthday" to you, I realized, either the next line is going to be really
generic.
There are three ways this can go. Either it's going to be really generic, or it's going to be really spooky, or it's going to be really funny.
And it was "Happy Birthday, Lisa" was very, very funny, and it was particularly bad for me because I'd bust a rib like the night before, and I was in excruciating pain every time I took a deep breath. So being in paroxysms of laughter while just sort of clawing at the table in pain as well, it was very funny. I liked it a lot.
It was very funny. Yeah, it was. It was at the end of a day when I'd done some other birthday things as well.
Whilst you tell us of them?
I will. My parents bought tickets to go and see Back to the Future, the musical.
I would like to go and see Back to the Future, the musical.
It is good. It is worth seeing. I think they make some good decisions during it. The one thing that you sort of worry about, I think, going into it is the performances in the film are so kind of iconic and so specific as well to the actors involved that trying to recreate that on stage is really difficult with different actors. And will it end up being a sort of pale imitation with that? And I would say that they mostly kind of sidestep that kind of criticism. Just by, first of all, the staging just being really impressive in various ways, the use of the kind of car props and stuff like that. Just they managed to do a lot of cool and kind of convincing stuff with that. and the person that plays Doc Brown is doing it's doing his own version of it, I suppose. It's not it's not just a impression of Christopher Lloyd. It's just a different version of a eccentric scientist, and it works for that performance. And as soon as you get over the initial kind of feeling of, oh, this is a bit different to what I expected, then you realize, oh, okay, it's fine. He's doing his own thing. He's doing that quite well, and that's probably better than having a slightly substandard impression of Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Lloyd is iconic in that role. I mean, he's been dragged back out a few times for that, but I think that's probably one of the ones that most people remember him for.
Yeah, and I would say the other person who has a really kind of specific and sort of hard to reproduce performance in that film is Crispin Glover's George McFly. And in that case, I thought the person who did that really was kind of doing an impression of that character, but it was okay because he was doing it really well and also looked a lot like him. So it was kind of uncanny that one. It was really impressive, actually. I was genuinely surprised by it.
Oh, yeah, I could sort of see some of the stuff that they'd probably want to get rid of now that might have been more acceptable in the 80s, that not Libyan terrorists. I mean,
yeah, they find a way of kind of sidestepping around that stuff.
I'm real curious, but I'm glad it's been resolved.
Yeah, it's not that interesting in the end, to be to be perfectly honest. It's not very elaborate, but it's plausible enough, I guess.
Yeah,
it works. And I mean, I guess the last thing to talk about it is the music, really.
Oh yeah.
And I would say it is fine. The problem, I would say the main problem with the show is that the music is merely fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But it isn't amazing. It's just kind of serviceable. I would say I don't really remember any of the tunes. They kind of sometimes used tunes from the Back to the Future score as part of the melodies here and there. And sometimes I thought that worked better than other times. So I remember those bits. But apart from that, and apart from when they use stuff like Johnny Be Good and the Huey Lewis songs from as well.
I was gonna say I was real curious whether they kept the Power of Love and all that, but I'm like, it would feel weird if they didn't.
Yeah, they definitely do, and that's kind of towards the back end of the film, and there's a lot of more original tunes earlier on, and they're fine. They're just the least interesting thing about the whole thing, and I came out of it thinking, maybe if they'd just done a play with that kind of staging, that would have been pretty fun as well, and I would have liked that just as much, probably. But as often happens when I come out of musicals, you do get swept up in just how much fun the cast seem to be having with it as well. I don't know how they manage to do this thing that basically every day for months and years on end and maintain their enthusiasm.
Money.
Yeah, well, I don't do a lot of performing sort of stuff, but I've done occasional improvisation, and I find that when I do that, I have to draw on the fact that I don't really know what's going to happen, and there's an unpredictability aspect of it. But when you've rehearsed something so much that it's almost impossible for it to go wrong, then that must kind of. I don't know how that feels after doing it like 100 or 200 times.
I mean, I suppose it's just acting, isn't it? Really, I mean, like, you know, you've got to. I'm going to say pretend, but that's not the right word. You've got to pretend to bring that energy, but it'll just be there, right? I mean, because it's. I would imagine it's genuinely hard to pretend to be overflowing with excitement and enthusiasm for something and not feel some of that, even if it is your 800th time doing that role.
Right.
I mean, I have been to like. Did we ever speak about Be More Chill on this? I can't remember. I think that all might have happened in a mid-season break or something.
I think we might have brought it up once or twice, but I don't remember how much we've talked about it.
Listeners, go and check out a musical called Be More Chill if you can. It's really good. It's quite a recent one, very sort of. I'm trying to think of a what's a good word for it. Good.
I don't know. I don't know what you're going for.
This is why they tune in for us, because of our erudition. Yeah, it's very entertaining, and I've been to see it a couple of times, and yeah, like, you know, sometimes you'll go and they'll put more energy into something. In other places, you know, they're just people doing a job, but doing it really, really well. Is it like, I think people sort of look down on acting, especially like sort of musical stuff, but it's really, really tough, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm trying to say, is acting is quite hard, and I feel like acting the same thing over and over again, like just so many times, must be one of the harder things. It feels like it must be to me.
Yeah, I've only ever done one acting thing, and I was also kind of writing it, and I'd reached the point where it came to the day to film it, and they were like, "Do you know your lines?" And I was like, I don't think I do. I wrote them. I don't know them. How has this happened?" Oh God. Yeah, no, I am glad they enjoyed it. I'm glad you had a nice birthday and everything.
Did and what about you? You got anything you wanna bring up?
Only a fishbone. No, I'm doing well. I guess weirdly, a thing I've been doing recently is streaming me playing Monkey Island 1 for you, so you can get some sort of sinister point and click adventure game fix from watching me hopelessly flounder about trying to figure out what logics were involved in this 30 years ago.
Yeah, you have played it before, so it's not quite the pure experience that I crave. Yeah, but it'll do in a pinch.
It's the cut stuff, but it'll do.
Yeah.
I mean, I have played it before, but only the remaster that came out on Xbox like 10 years ago or something. And you know, it's fun, but like, I don't always have puzzle brain where you're like, I need to combine the albatross and the thing. Like, if the puzzle is give some mints to the man with smelly breath so he doesn't have smelly breath anymore, that's my tier of puzzle, which I think is actually one of them.
Well, I've gone through the whole range of that, because when I was first playing them, when I was about 10, I suppose, is when I started playing these. I remember I had a hint book that just gave me the walkthrough to Secret of Monkey Island, and I'd refer to that quite a lot. And I'd basically follow the walkthrough a lot of the time. And I remember sometimes calling a hint line for Monkey Island 2. That seems to be something that I did. Yeah, it was press 1 if you're in part 1 of the game, and so on, the whole tree. of hints
wow.
that I rang up. I'm pretty sure that I did that for Monkey Island 2. I think I'm sure I did it for Fate of Atlantis anyway. But as I played more and more of the games, I kind of got used to how the puzzles work, and by my late teens, I'd sort of got used to the idea of at least wanting to try and solve the puzzles myself, and I got pretty good at understanding how adventure game puzzles worked, or at least LucasArts style ones worked.
I'm certain we've mentioned before that my first point and click adventure was Full Throttle, and I mostly got through that okay, but I needed help with 3 puzzles. One of which I just couldn't see the answer to, and the other 2 which were just shitty.
Yeah, there's a couple of ones in that one.
Real big question marks over a couple of those.
Yeah.
It's nice. It must have been like 25 years when I played it, but I'm not bitter or anything. It's fine.
I mean, yeah. Okay, Tim Schafer. I get that
Tim Schafer, I'm atting you.
I get she would have been shorter as a child. So that gives you a clue maybe about where you're going to kick the wall. But how do you know how much shorter? How it doesn't really help, does it?
I kicked that wall 3 million times. Well, anyway, I suppose we'd better move on to the podcast part of the podcast.
Oh, I guess we gotta.
So, this is a podcast where we watch a film and we talk about it in little chunks. That's it. That's what we do. Sometimes there are bells. We've got bells.
I forgot the bell.
He forgot his bell. I've lost mine. So until I have the wherewithal to buy another on Amazon, I don't want to buy another because the instant I buy another, I will find the first bell.
Yes.
The femtosecond it arrived, the new one arrives, I will find the old one.
All right, so both of us might say the word ding instead of ringing a bell this week because I've looked around and it's not immediately accessible. I'm going to give up. I'm not going to pause the recording for this.
Listeners, this is the degree of consumer professionalism that we bring to you every single time we record one of these podcasts. Where is it? Where's my one? I must have thrown it. I literally just saw it. I saw it. I can see it.
What?
I can see the bell. Hold on, listeners.
Oh, this is unacceptable. Can't have you having the bell and me not having the bell now. You know what you've done? You've made me have to find it.
Oh, sure. The listeners are real thrilled to be tuned in to 2 grown men looking for bells.
We're doing this live.
He's serious. We're not editing this.
No, okay, fine. We can swap this time. This time you can be the one that has the bell.
Why did I put it there? Why would I put it there? That's nowhere near where it should be. I must have moved it while dusting.
I'll find the bell next time. Look, by the time we next record this, I might well have entirely moved house, so who knows where the bell will be at that point.
Yeah, I hope it's in a box somewhere. So bell rings sometimes. Get used to it. Now,
yeah.
Let's not talk about the thing, Peter. Who wouldn't you like to hear about today?
I would. I'd like to hear about the ADR mix technician Ryan Young.
Wow, someone's been on the wiki. It's actually a lucky guess, really, because today we're going to be talking about Toni Collette playing Joni Thromby.
Look, before I decided to go with a joke response. I was genuinely going to guess that one.
Well, look who's been hoisted by their own petard of hubris, as the saying goes. Toni Collette, born 1st November 1972, is an Australian actress, producer, singer, and songwriter. Known for her work in television and independent films, she's received various accolades throughout her career, including a Golden Globe Award and a Primetime Emmy Award, in addition to nominations for an Academy Award, a Tony Award, and 2 British Academy Film Awards. That's a lot of awards. Her breakthrough role came in the comedy drama Muriel's Wedding, which earned her a Golden Globe Award nomination and won her the AACTA Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role. I've just realised you're probably supposed to pronounce AACTA as ACTA, aren't you? Ugh.
Not ACTRA.
There's no R. Achieved greater international recognition for her role in the psychological hot thriller film The Sixth Sense, 1999, and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. I've never seen the Sixth Sense. I just don't feel like there's any point watching it. I know what the twist is.
Well, yeah. I've only seen it once, so that was before I knew the twist, and so I don't know what the watching it knowing the twist experience is like.
It's probably like watching it the second time, I guess. Collette's films include diverse genres such as the period comedy Emma, the action thriller Shaft, the period drama The Hours, the romantic drama Japanese Story, the comedies In Her Shoes and The Way, Way Back, the horror films Krampus and Hereditary, and of course, the murder mystery film Knives Out. Her Broadway performances include the lead role in The Wild Party, which earned her a Tony Award nomination. In television, she starred in the Showtime comedy drama series United States of Tara, 2008-2011, and the Netflix drama miniseries Unbelievable. Yeah, quite a diverse and interesting career.
Yeah. Are you just are these in the order of the IMDb page?
No.
Okay.
Why? Do you think you might have cracked a code or something?
I was just looking at the IMDb page, and on first glance, it just looked suspiciously close to the order that we've been talking about these.
I mean, it may, in some way, be the order in which they're casted, in which case I imagine that, yes, actually, it probably would be the order they're listed on IMDb as well.
Is it in the credits order? Because that's what they are in.
Maybe. Hang on. I'll go dig up my notes. Hate you. Oh, I don't have them lying around. Never mind. Okay, whatever. So, you're taking the wind out of my sails a little bit. I don't want to have to go and edit the remaining episodes to make you seem like a schmuck. But you know what? I might. You wonder how bitter and vindictive I'm going to feel after we record this episode. So it is time to address any questions you had from the previous episode, Peter. I don't think we had any questions or comments that no sort of like grave issues arose that we had to investigate.
I feel like we had some unfinished business. And where we've got to, I feel like it's time that we can both make a minor concession and leave the whole thing still entirely unresolved.
So first of all, I think we probably need to explain what we've done.
Right. Okay.
So listeners, as you will aware, sequential podcast and all that, last episode we had a problem with the number of bottles on the table in front of Ransom and Marta, and we both strongly disagreed about whether this could be explained by parallax or
yeah. And by the way, as we started watching the new segment that we're about to talk about, I suddenly, with horror, realized that the whole thing might be explained by some shots we hadn't seen yet. It wasn't, but it did clear one thing up for me, which I'll get to.
Yeah, but so basically we went away and made our own diagrams of how the scene works, and I guess I'll have to figure out how to tweet these at the same time as this episode going out.
Yeah.
But
so I guess your diagram, which it makes sense to me sequentially to go first, is kind of a 3D model of the shots.
Yeah, I used Tinkercad to design a 3D version of the thing.
And what you're trying to establish with these shots
could have dinged me there, but you don't have a bell, do you?
Ding yourself. And what you're trying to establish is that bottles 2 and 3 can kind of apparently switch places by kind of parallaxing around each other. And so you do a shot with a series of shots that's kind of shows that that's possible. And I will concede you have done a fairly plausible version of that. However,
I've never felt so damned with faint praise.
To walk that back slightly, I still think that when you look at the original pictures and how far to the right of the bottle you've labeled 3, 2 is in the first shot, and then how far to the left of it is when it's apparently parallaxed around, is way more than what you've been able to do in your example shot. So I would still say that I have a suspicion that the bottles, or at least one of the bottles, has probably moved. And that's what I'm trying to show with my version of the shot.
Do you think this is one of those things where I could try and email the continuity editor? Is this, if I do that, will I be enriching that person's life or just dragging them down? What do you think?
They're not gonna know. This was like probably the least of their worries.
Maybe I could at them on Twitter and be like, do you want to come on an episode of a podcast and explain yourself?
The other thing that I will say is, having continued to watch the next segment where there are a few slightly different angled shots of this, is that I am pretty satisfied now that there is only there are only 4 bottles, and
there are 4 lights.
There's not a 7-bottle scenario here. I don't believe that's possible anymore, and the reason for that is, in one of the shots in the segment that we're about to talk about, you see for a moment Ransom's sleeve in the shot going towards Marta, so that kind of establishes that the bottles are closer to Ransom than it might appear in that shot.
Honestly, I'm both surprised and pleased that we were so dedicated to the format that neither of us thought of like scanning ahead into the next few minutes to see whether it was just made clearer by another shot. We were just like completely consumed by the microcosm that was episode 10.
But yes, I will concede that they might have parallaxed, and I think you conceded earlier that a bottle might have moved.
Yes, it might have been nudged gently by one of the characters. So there we come to an awkward détente about the whole thing. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm glad that it kind of has some sort of resolution, because, oh boy, that's the exciting stuff that the listeners are coming back for, surely every single time. ? But now I sort of do want to email the continuity editor, but I feel like that might be the worst email any human being has ever received. Hi, we're analyzing a film you made 3 years ago in excruciating detail and have noticed what we believe to be a minor error. Could you comment on it?
Yes, what we've done is spent approximately half an hour talking about the positions of the bottles in these two shots, and that is the thing that we would like to focus on rather than anything else that is interesting about this film.
Peter, nothing I have ever said or done has given me such stark cause to rethink my life than the last 5 minutes of this conversation. All right. Oh God, the bottle crisis is resolved. I will figure out how to embed those pictures, mostly so the listeners can go, what the fuck is wrong with these guys? So let's review your answers from the previous episode. I'm glad that rib's healed. If you are seeing this for the first time, who do you think's the murderer and how done they do it? And I think you're sticking with your like, we've seen that Marta done it, but you think that there might be more to the case. Which kind of makes sense because, film's not over. And you said, what happens next? There's a phone call. Meg will speak to Marta, and Marta will say that she'll look after you. The tables have turned from earlier, and as soon as it's clear she's not going to give up the inheritance, Meg will hang up. At this point, Marta goes home and discovers a note that's been left for her. So how do you feel about all those little revelations?
I feel okay. I think I missed a couple of things, but I think everything that I said was basically true.
Correct. So, with that, I guess it's time for us to slide in and watch 1 hour and 20 minutes to 1 hour and 28 minutes of Knives Out. Meg asks if Marta is okay and says nobody knows she's calling, that she wanted to say sorry for how everyone was.
Now, I don't think I've noticed before that she just says nobody knows that she's calling, and it makes the whole thing kind of more fucked up than it already is.
Yeah, I mean, when we find out soon what we find out, it doesn't make because I was giving Meg the benefit of the doubt at this point, but no.
No.
she's a Thromby through and through, just a different flavor. Meg asks what Marta's going to do,
and to her, I don't want to say to her credit, but at least Meg seems like she's a bit uncomfortable with doing this, but she's definitely not above doing this. Cool.
Marta asks what she thinks she should do, and Meg says that Marta should do what's right. So they're very euphemistically dancing around the point here.
Yes.
Meg says she should give it back because they're his actual family, and that Joni is broke, and that Meg will have to drop out of school.
And it's a nice little switcheroo thing because they've all at various kind of points described her as part of the family and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. But not actual family.
Not actual family, no. And Marta says she'll look after her, and Meg hangs up. Ominous.
So immediately as well.
Yeah. So it's a real straight up inversion of what was going on earlier. You remember where after Harlan's death, Walt was basically like, "We've decided that we're going to take care of you."
Yeah.
And when the shoe is on the other foot, they cannot take it.
Right.
Meg turns around and reveals the rest of the Thrombies waiting and watching her. Nobody knows she's calling her.
I feel like this moment, if anyone in the audience is still a little bit on the fence about whether they're all completely terrible or not, this has to be the actual kind of, yes, actually fuck all of them moment.
Yeah, it's a real good shot as well, where the camera just kind of turns around to reveal all of the zombies lying in wait.
Yeah.
Ransom asks if Blanc has found anything suspicious. Marta mentions the mud, but no prints. He says that Blanc has nothing, and that she should lay low and relax.
I guess in hindsight, it's a very self-serving question as well, since he used that corridor as well, as we'll find out.
We cut to Marta in bed, being woken by her sister furiously knocking on the door, asking if they're rich. Marta's sister is a great character. She's not in it much, but she's very memorable. Marta has 28 missed calls on her phone. 28! So that's a big number, Peter.
Yeah, everyone's trying to get hold of her.
Also, she has a cracked and broken phone.
Mm.
Because she's less rich than the Zombies by some strong margin.
Mm.
On the director's commentary, Ryan Johnson comments that her sister's reaction to the news that they're now rich makes him wonder that in a few years, is Marta just going to be going through exactly what Harlan was going through? Oh, it's a difficult thought, isn't it? I mean, like, I would love a tremendous amount of money, but it would change you, wouldn't it? I mean, like, you couldn't not be changed.
I guess the difference is that her family isn't just all kind of born into it.
Yeah. But then Harlan wasn't either, so it's kind of like, what are her kids going to be like? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think someone even literally says that at some point in the film, like, you know, they all think they're self-made people. They got $1 million loans from Harlan.
Right.
Her mother is watching the news from outside their house. The film crew's visible through the window. That's a real weird situation to be in. I've fortunately never been in it, but I could just imagine how strange it must be to have your house on TV with a film crew outside.
Do you think when you have to film a film crew, they use some of the film crew to film them?
Well, that's just logical, isn't it? I mean, you've got all them cameras lying about.
Yeah.
I imagine actually you probably can't, because maybe the people with the holding the cameras have to be actors. I know it gets very confusing. People get real keen on that sort of thing being done correctly.
Yeah.
As we learned when we found out about the end credits of The Thing, where they got fined $20,000 for doing them in slightly the wrong order.
I think it's less important when it's a non-speaking part. I don't know.
Yeah. One of the reporters outside is Gary Tanguay, a local New England talk show host. So he's just doing a cameo.
All right.
Back at the Thrombey house, Nana is listening to music alone.
And no, I don't know what the aria is here. Opera isn't really my whole area.
Peter, I've got a game for you. What's the aria she's listening to here?
I don't know.
It's Act 1 of La Traviata. Originally, she was just sitting in silence, but they added the music in like fairly late in the scene, and it sort of brought the whole thing together. The silence was just unnerving rather than sad.
Right.
The CD player there is Bob Doucet, the editor's CD player. They brought along because it looked nice.
It's an old and chunky CD player.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, it's so difficult to tell what Harlan would have in his house or anything, because I was like, it doesn't really seem like he'd go for the new technology, does he? I mean, we've seen his bloody CCTV set up.
Right.
Blanc arrives and apologizes that he's probably the first person to offer her condolences for the loss of her son.
that definitely feels true.
Oh, yeah. They kind of treat her like a piece of meat, like
Yes.
or like an object, like in all the other scenes.
Yes.
Blanc says age deepens all feelings, which is the title of my favorite G-MILF video.
Jesus Christ.
I was going to say, is that joke too saucy?
It's a little bit off brand for this podcast.
Listeners, we're allowed one sex joke per season, and we've used it on that. That's it. It's grateful. We can move on. Blanc sits down with her and says he wants to talk to her about the night of the party, but that he'll happily wait until she's ready.
And it's difficult to tell if and how much she does actually care about anything he's saying. I feel like she would probably help him, but I don't know whether she considers him also to be a bit of a buffoon, or is she just glad to be noticed, even if she finds his whole shtick a bit tedious?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've got here is that Cake Allen, not Cake Allen.
Cake Allen.
Fuck you. It's it's like a really excellent performance. I mean, we've talked about acting fairly recently, but like naively, it looks like she's doing nothing, but she is sort of carrying this entire scene where it's just a one-sided conversation between Blanc and an elderly woman. So on the director's commentary, they note that she cannot see a thing through those glasses at all. She has quite good eyesight. Oh dear, Peter. Another exciting divergence here. We're going to slide into a deleted scene.
All right.
So I guess I'm going to show you the scene and then we'll talk about it, because I can't remember how we did it last time, even though it was like some days ago.
Show me the scene and then we will talk about it.
Right. So Donna and Blanc together in a deleted scene here. So we see Donna arriving at her and Walt's house and getting the groceries out of her car. It's quite a nice house. It's, I'm not sure what style of house that is. I meant to look it up but forgot. So I'll just describe it. It's got windows that come out of the roof a little bit, and it's got a black roof. What sort of house is that, listeners? If you know what sort of house has windows in the roof and a black roof, write in to us.
Or don't. It's not very important.
I'm sure he'd much prefer to write in about that whole bottle thing.
Yeah, that is important.
A man is smoking on the porch and turns around to face her. She reacts with terror, dropping everything. There's some excellent creepy music stings here.
Sort of reaches into his jacket, and I half expected here that we were going to get like a Back to the Future 2 moment where he'd just like pull out some documents or something.
Mr. McFly!
I've got something for you.
It's a needlessly threatening letter. She gibbers that Walt said that he'll have the money for them and tries to run, straight into the arms of Blanc. He calms her down, and the man in the porch is gone. They go inside. Interesting timing here of him arriving.
Yeah.
That man disappeared quite quickly.
He certainly did. I guess you would if suddenly cops.
Blanc explains that Walt might indeed have had a bicycle accident 12 days ago at 3 a.m., and it's possible he was shot in the leg while bicycling, but that's somewhat burying the lead.
Yeah.
It's a great line. So here we get the missing explanation of why Walt is in a cast for the entire film.
Right.
Dunn explains that Walt lost lots of money on side investments and has been embezzling from the publishing company to make it all up.
Womp womp.
Blanc explains that Walt is in big trouble, but has to be stopped from making it worse. And where is he now? Oh. Where is Walt now, Peter?
Where is he now? Well, we know.
Yeah, we do. Is it
We're
Martha? Is it
about
Martha's
to
house? We're
find
literally,
out.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very suspenseful in context, but I guess
Yeah, but I can see why they got rid of this as well.
yeah,
Just pacing wise, and that it doesn't feel necessary, and also, although clearly fucking up in all kinds of ways, it might have the opposite to the intended effect by making you feel sympathetic towards the Thrombies in some way.
yeah. Again, this scene was cut basically for pacing because they just wanted to be really ramping up into the final act, and there is enough suspicion on both Joni and Walt. Like they didn't need these extra threads in the end.
Yeah, you don't need to give them like a cast iron motive for wanting to get the money back or whatever.
Yeah. Back at Marta's house, her mother shows her a pile of documents that's arrived and says that lawyers have visited. Big lawyers. Big lawyers.
Big lawyers.
Marta leaves the house via the back door to find Walt waiting for her.
Yeah.
Peter, we're going to play that game. Real location or set? Is this a real corridor or a set?
I think often when it's like an enclosed one, it's a set. So I'm going to go with set.
Oh, fuck you. I thought you'd get it wrong. Yes, this is a set. They specifically went out of the way to find those sort of weird lights to make it feel real sci-fi. While Walt is talking, Marta notices an unmarked envelope in amongst the things that have arrived today. Probably no significance to that or anything. Shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed this being noticed in this scene because it's so tense with everything else happening. Yeah.
Walt says that Marta should be careful with everything and asks if she's going to renounce the inheritance. She says that it's what Harlan would have wanted, for her to keep the money. And Walt says that is all this scrutiny going to be good for her mother? The knives are finally out, listeners.
They certainly are.
Walt explains that they're not threatening her with this, but if it comes out, then with the family's resources, they can help her.
And to be clear, it's extremely threatening.
Yeah.
And,
my first note here is he seems very threatening here.
Yeah, and the way that it's edited and shot definitely plays that up. So you got the kind of horn, like ominous horns and string underscoring it as well, and just those quick shots to his kind of stompy cane.
As it gets closer, like you do get like these real tight close-ups on the cane stamping on the ground.
Yeah, it makes the whole thing feel as threatening as it actually is. And he really doesn't understand how he's coming across in this moment, but because of how it's shot here, we kind of get a feeling of how Marta is feeling about this moment.
Absolutely. I know. I see. He's been a comic character basically up until this point, but now he's sliding into something a lot more sinister.
Yeah.
I think possibly showing up the fact that you can be like a funny person, but if you are pushed all the way to the wall, then who knows what you might end up doing.
Right.
And Marta turns to him and says that the family's resources are now her resources.
Yes. Which is, I feel like a brave thing to do in the moment. And it feels like she is just over the course of the last few things that have happened, she's coming around to this idea of thinking, well, not only thinking that because of what Ransom's got on her now, she has to kind of go for the plan of keeping the money, but also starting to feel like perhaps the family doesn't actually deserve this money.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of convincing her to give up the inheritance, this was not the way to go about it.
Yeah, exactly the wrong move.
Yeah. But Yeah, we kind of get cut off in the middle of the line there, but I wanted to wrap it up because that brings us to the end of this episode, listeners. The end of this episode.
It does.
Right. So, Peter, you are familiar with the format of this podcast. If you are seeing this for the first time, who do you think is the murderer and how did they done it?
Well, I'm going to slightly change my response at this point. Just a little bit. I don't think I'm going to pin it on someone different now, but I'm going to move from I think there's more going on to there's definitely more to this story that we haven't heard yet and is going to add a whole new layer to this. Is where I am. So I'm going to go with from I think Marta did it to who knows at this stage.
Ooh.
I don't know. And the reason that I'm changing that is because of this blank envelope that we've just seen her notice. I don't think you get sent a blank envelope by someone, and I think that's a clear indicator of there's more to this story. Someone is up to something here.
And of course, the next question: what happens next?
So I think that she will have a moment to herself where she gets to have a look at what's in that envelope and notices that it is a partial toxicology report, and I think someone has written a message on it saying something like they know something, they know what happened, and so this is going to cause Marta to panic and get in touch with Ransom again so that they can pay a visit to the toxicology lab.
All right, that seems likely to me.
And then
again,
there'll be a car. Sorry, and then there'll be a car chase. I think that we might get the start of that in the next segment too.
Well, bully for you, remembering what happens in the next parts of the film. So, Peter, what are you thinking of this film so far? We're very far into it now. Gosh, there's just 5 more episodes. I think I did that very smoothly. I think no one will notice that I'm not very good at maths.
Yes, I mean, I am still enjoying this film very much. I would say of all the parts of the film, this is probably, on balance, my least favorite part. It's good. It's all good, but I at this point, I'm just really keen to get towards the denouement.
Oh, fancy words.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, listeners, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at podcast@8minutemovies.co.uk, and perhaps one day, one of you will do that.
Who knows?
I don't blame them for not writing in. We spent almost an hour of the precious seconds of our lives talking about some bottles.
But yeah, maybe someone will write in. Anything can happen. You know, bottles can magically switch places.
If you like the show, listeners, tell a friend or leave a comment wherever you listen to it, if that's a thing that service that you listen to it on permits, because that's how we drive hashtag engagement around here.
I mean, we've looked at the numbers and some people are listening.
Yeah, some people are definitely listening to this.
I hope you like it. If you
know.
like it, could you tell us that you like it? Because that makes us happy.
Yeah, we're really dopamine starved around here. We need some of that. We need some of that happy chemical, listeners.
If you don't like it, shut your mouth. Just just walk away.
if you don't like it, I mean, you are effectively like 30 episodes in at this point. Why are you still listening? So, Peter, where can you be found on the internet?
I can be found under the handle Kestrel Pie. That's Kestrel like the bird and Pie like the irrational number on, for example, Twitter.
And I am Kieran J. Walsh on some services. So, all right, listeners, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Don't know why I'm ending it so formally. Good evening.
And good evening to you.
Don't have nightmares.